Welcome to The Explainer. Let's jump right in because there is a massive, and I mean completely unnoticed economic shift happening right under our noses. Every single day, we're surrounded by stories of disruption, right? But what if I told you that the most profound transformation in the entire modern economy is practically invisible to most people? Today, we're unpacking the source material that exposes this hidden reality. So, what if the biggest revolution actually isn't in Silicon Valley? I really want to instantly challenge this worldview we've all been sold. When we think of business success today, we're kind of conditioned to look for a very specific aesthetic. You know, the flashy stages, the billion-dollar product reveals, the celebrity CEOs. But the source material we're looking at today completely subverts that illusion. The biggest shifts simply aren't happening where the cameras are pointing. Think about it. When we picture an economic boom, we visualize loud press conferences, massive factories, and billionaire CEOs filling up the skyline. But the silent reality, it's vastly different. The real revolution is happening in suburban garages, on laptops, and in everyday towns across America. It's this incredibly stark contrast between the loud, visible booms we always expect and the invisible, widely distributed reality that's actually taking place right now. Section 1. The Unseen Business Revolution. Now, what's really interesting about this is just how utterly ordinary this new era looks on the surface. We aren't talking about massive assembly lines here. We're talking about a small local bakery using artificial intelligence to predict its daily demand. We're talking about family-owned stores using complex software to compete neck and neck with national chains. The source material highlights a core thesis for this new era. The revolution is not loud, it is distributed. Because it's happening everywhere all at once in these tiny fragments, it doesn't trigger the traditional alarms of economic disruption. But make no mistake, that distribution is exactly what makes it so incredibly powerful. Section 2. Invisible Growth and Scale. Let's actually look at the mechanics behind this. Historically, if a business was growing, you could physically see it. There were new buildings going up, massive hiring sprees, and scaling required huge amounts of capital. It produced highly visible growth, and crucially, failure was catastrophic. You lost the building and the massive investment. But compare that to the modern microenterprise. Technology hasn't just made things a little bit faster, it has completely compressed the distance between an idea and its execution. Entire departments are being replaced by software dashboards. The growth is invisible. And failure? Well, it's cheap and it's fast. Scaling used to require physical concrete and teams of people. But now, it operates entirely invisibly through software. And that brings us to this absolutely staggering number, 1. A single person. I really want you to visualize the sheer power of this solo individual today. A single person, sitting with a laptop at their kitchen table, can now run what just a generation ago literally required an entire office building full of staff. The leverage that one individual holds right now is historically unprecedented. So how does this actually build into a functional workflow? First, you have an idea. Second, you apply automation and AI tools. And third, instant execution. That is the new pipeline. What used to take months of planning, hiring, and capital allocation now takes literal minutes. We fundamentally shifted away from relying on entire corporate departments to relying on simple, highly effective digital dashboards. Section 3, the permissionless psychology. Okay, we've talked a lot about the tech, but the source material makes a really profound point here. The most important shift isn't technological at all. It is purely psychological. The mindset of the modern worker and creator has fundamentally fractured from the past. We're officially entering an era of permissionless entrepreneurship. Millions of individuals are just entirely bypassing the gatekeepers. They aren't waiting for venture capital investors to bless their idea. They aren't waiting for corporate approval. And they certainly aren't slowly climbing traditional career ladders. They're building directly and testing instantly. And guys, this is reshaping the very definition of what it means to be an entrepreneur. Section 4. Micro-enterprises, macro impact. It's really easy to get lost in all these lofty concepts, so let's bring this down to earth with some hard evidence. Take a freelance designer in Ohio who uses automation to manage clients across 5 different countries, or a retired teacher in Arizona running a digital storefront that generates passive income while she travels. How about a small auto repair shop in Texas using predictive software to order parts before they even break in customer vehicles? This revolution is happening across every demographic, every age group, and every industry. It is absolutely not limited to tech elites. And because these tools are so incredibly accessible, we arrive at this critical truth. Cheap and fast failure unlocks national scale experimentation. When failure is no longer this catastrophic, life-ruining event, it just becomes part of the learning process. Everyday Americans, without formal business degrees or MBAs, are driving this massive engine of experimentation. And, as we know, experimentation is the engine of all revolutions. But here is the true climax of this whole narrative. No headquarters, no central authority. There is no single massive company leading this charge. It's not a top-down mandate from some tech monopoly. It's a bottom-up, organic, self-reinforcing transformation made up of millions of independent nodes. Each one is optimizing and improving in total isolation, yet collectively, they're completely rewriting the economy. And because it has no center, it is incredibly difficult to track. Central institutions are missing the shift entirely. Economists are struggling to capture it in their data. Policymakers are totally underestimating its scale. And the mainstream media, they overlook it because it simply doesn't fit into their neat, traditional narrative of what disruption looks like. When things happen in fragments across millions of laptops, central institutions simply cannot measure it properly. Section 5, the future of autonomy. So where's this all heading? The ultimate goal of this movement, the real stakes here, aren't just about financial metrics. It's fundamentally about personal freedom. If you zoom out far enough, the macro trends are just impossible to ignore. We have more independent earners than ever before. Small business survival rates are completely defying expectations. And side projects? They're rapidly turning into full-time incomes. Thousands of small, coordinated shifts are entirely reshaping major industries right before our eyes. So why does this matter to you? Because work is no longer a fixed destination. It's become a flexible system of choices. For the very first time in modern history, individuals are gaining unprecedented leverage over how they work, where they work, and exactly what they build. It's a massive cultural shift just as much as it is an economic one. Now, of course, it's vital we look at this objectively. There are real challenges ahead. Competition is rising rapidly. Our attention is incredibly fragmented. The exact same tools that empower individuals also create a massive amount of noise, which makes it harder and harder to stand out. And honestly, many will struggle to adapt to the chaos. But we have to remember, all revolutions begin with chaos before they eventually organize themselves.
And make no mistake, the silent revolution is not slowing down. It is accelerating. We are still incredibly early in this cycle. AI tools are becoming more intuitive by the day, and digital infrastructure is embedding itself deeper into everything, from healthcare scheduling to local food supply chains. The very structure of work is being rewritten in real time everywhere you look. Which leaves us with this final, really vital question. Will you recognize the revolution while it's unfolding, or only after it has reshaped everything? You know, some of the most important changes in human history begin almost imperceptibly. The reality is out there, quietly unfolding in everyday decisions. If you want to deeply understand the hidden shifts shaping our society and stay ahead of the curve, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next explainer. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.